Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 11.
Human remains are found in the rugged terrain of western Anderson County. Here's the latest on the investigation.
The search for a missing man out of Franklin County ends.
I drive by where they burn his truck every day, every afternoon, every morning. It's just an everyday thought. I miss him a lot.
A Southern Kentucky family is honoring their son 5 years after his death. The Cats tipped off in their final exhibition game of the season against Georgetown College. WKYT News at 11 starts now. Hunters find human remains. Good evening, I'm Kristen Kennedy. The Anderson County Sheriff's Office is investigating after 2 deer hunters found a human bone on New Liberty Road yesterday. WKYT's Jordan Valines talked to the coroner about the investigation. She has our top story at 11.
On Saturday night, 2 deer hunters were out here in the rugged terrain of western Anderson County when they stumbled upon a man's wallet, prompting police to come search the area, and that's when they discovered human remains. The Anderson County coroner tells us that after searching 500 yards of forest and pasture land, they located several human bones, which are believed to belong to only one person. They also located clothing and glasses in the wooded area off of New Liberty Road, about 15 miles outside Lawrenceburg. Investigators returned to the scene early Sunday morning, and throughout the day, they collected 60 bags of evidence that will now be brought to the medical examiner's office in Frankfort for further review. At this time, many questions still remain in this case regarding the identity of the person found, as well as how their body got there and how they died.
Tomorrow, the remains will be examined for any evidence of foul play, any evidence of a gunshot wound or a penetrating stab wound, or any evidence of blunt trauma that could explain a cause of death.
At this time, officials are not sure whether the body was that of a man or a woman, and at this time, they're still looking into whether or not the wallet that was found belonged to that person. In Anderson County, Jordan Valines, WKYT.
The medical examiner will try to determine an identity and preliminary cause of death in Frankfort tomorrow. A golden alert for a missing Franklin County man is over. Police found 55-year-old Joe Frank Hunt in Lexington tonight. They issued the alert after they say he went missing around 3 yesterday afternoon. We're told Hunt suffers from a medical condition. Tonight, we are told he is back safe and sound with his family. Today marks an anniversary one family wishes they never had to commemorate. A Southern Kentucky family is remembering the death of their son. 5 years ago today, 21-year-old Kevin Price disappeared. Investigators say he never came home from work, and they are still trying to figure out what happened and who killed him. WKYT's Sam Smith talked with one of Price's friends who's finding ways to keep his memory alive.
He was gone before anyone could say goodbye. Kevin Price was killed 5 years ago. On the anniversary of his death, loved ones gathered to remember him.
I miss him a lot.
Price does not have a burial site here, but his family set up a memorial next to his mother's headstone. Friends still can't believe he's gone.
Has sadness, heartache, just missing him.
Price never came home from work on November 9th, 2009. His truck was found burned near his workplace. Weeks later, they found his burned remains in a different part of the county. The Price family is offering a reward for any information that would lead to the arrest and conviction of the person or people responsible for this.
I know I think about it every day, and the people who done it, they're probably thinking about it too, and somebody will slip up and say something, and it'll be over for them.
Those that knew Price want to make sure he's not forgotten. Memorials like this are now on display. This one is where Price's truck was found. Another one is where his body was found.
Justice needs to be served. I mean, it's been a long time, and I still believe that, it'll come. It'll eventually come.
In Pulaski County, Sam Smith, WKYT.
We're told the reward the family is offering is worth more than $10,000. We had another beautiful day here in the Bluegrass. Get ready for some changes. The home meteorologist Jim Caldwell has a look at what we can expect in the work week.
Yeah, we've got some pretty chilly air that will eventually settle in. Chilly might be the understatement. We're talking about Arctic cold, so we have some pretty cold air coming our way. But tomorrow, How about 60s? Tonight, though, we're running in the 30s and also in the 40s. Out at the airport, 43 degrees. You got 36 down in Danville, so the 30s are starting to also show up in many different locations, mid and upper 30s and plenty of 40s. We're kind of all over the place if you look at some of those readings out there tonight. Defender has been quiet all weekend long for you, and it will remain that way through the overnight and even into the day tomorrow before we will see some changes arrive on Defender. We will see it all happening there. A lot of cloud cover starting to shift into the area as well. Some thicker clouds just to our north. That's where you're seeing those brighter whites. And then all of us get in on some of the cloud cover tonight, which should help stabilize those temperatures as we head into the overnight hours. Our focus of the forecast, it's simple. It's just two words. It's Arctic air. We're going to have plenty of it. Here's a little bit of a preview of exactly what we're talking about with that high temperature trend. Tomorrow, 62, 61 on Tuesday. And then the bottom falls out because we're in the 40s there on Wednesday with temperatures falling. And then how about 30s that go all the way into next weekend? I'll break it down a little more for you and give a little more detail and throw in those precipitation chances because some of that might be on the snowy side. That's coming up for you in just a few minutes.
It is going to get cold. Thank you, Jim. Lexington police are trying to figure out who vandalized a police cruiser. They say early this morning someone spray painted a Versailles police car parked outside a home on Michelle Park. That's near Masterson Station. Police tell us the person responsible could be charged with criminal mischief. Creative burglars are causing some concern around town. Lexington police say around 4 this morning, burglars broke in Hibbert Sports off Richmond Road. Police believe they went through an empty Chinese restaurant to get into the shoe store. Some clerks are worried the same thing could happen to them.
You don't want to give them points for creativity, but it's pretty creative and pretty scary at the same time.
Police are checking with nearby businesses to see if they may have caught the robbers or a getaway car on camera. The Cats tipped off against Georgetown College tonight. It was their second and final exhibition game before the season starts on Friday. Lee K. Howard standing by with highlights from tonight's game. Lee K., there were a lot of them.
There were a ton of highlights. You know, Kentucky is just so much size and athleticism that it was all on full display tonight, even against a very good team from the NAIA ranks in Georgetown College. John Calipari wanting to see continued improvement from his guys, and what he saw was a lob fest. Andrew Harrison to Willie Cauley-Stein. That made it 24-7 Kentucky. UK caused 16 turnovers, and look at the ball movement here. Marcus Lee to Devin Booker to Trey Lyles. For the reverse jam, Lyles finished with 14 points. Kentucky can also shoot the ball. We all know that Aaron Harrison likes that left elbow. He led Kentucky with 17 points in the second half. More dunking. It's Booker to Lee. Cats up 48. The Wildcats pushing the ball at a frenetic pace. The quick outlet to Aaron Harrison, and he just throws it up into the area code of Willie Cauley-Stein for the finish. WCS had 12 points and 6 boards. Even the third-string guys getting in on the dunk fest. Dominique Hawkins with the steal. E.J. Floreal with the finish. Kentucky just too much for Georgetown. Final score 121-52. And coming up a little bit later in sports, we will hear from both Coach John Calipari and Georgetown's coach Chris Briggs.
For the first time in nearly 15 years, Commonwealth Stadium is getting a makeover. Crews wasted no time after yesterday's game, tearing down lights and cables to make way for a brand new facility. Some season ticket holders will have to change seats, and they aren't happy about it.
We're in section 229 right now. It's actually really good seats right by the press box, front row. My kids have grown up there. I mean, daughter's 15, my son's 8 or 10, and they have grown up playing there. Just great seats. So now we're moving to the other side of the stadium.
Designers say downsizing the seating capacity of the stadium will leave more space for premium seating and elevators. The renovation is expected to cost nearly $110 million. Still to come on WKYT, members of the National Guard found a way this weekend to remember those who've served. Members of the Kentucky National Guard found a way this weekend to honor those who have served. Yesterday, members of the Guard spread soil from the Commonwealth's 120 counties around the Kentucky National Guard Memorial. The memorial is located at the entrance of the Boone National Guard Center in Frankfort. Right now, the memorial is under construction but should be finished in 2015. Tomorrow, crews will start work on a massive sinkhole. After the break, we'll tell you how long it's expected to take and how much it's expected to cost. President Obama headed to Asia today for a three-nation visit, and one of his stops will be China, where he'll talk with leaders about reining in North Korea's nuclear weapons. The president's trip comes just hours after North Korean leaders released the last two Americans they were holding captive. Jerika Duncan has the latest from New York.
President Obama plans to call on Beijing to use its influence with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un over the reclusive country's nuclear weapons program. The trip comes hours after Kim ordered officials to release Kenneth Bae and Matthew Miller from prison. Bae and Miller were serving multi-year sentences of hard labor for offenses the North Koreans claim were crimes against the state.
It may be that in his own awkward, unsophisticated way, Kim Jong-un is trying to reassure the Chinese that he's not such a bad guy after all, that he's not irresponsible.
The U.S. called for the men's release for humanitarian reasons. National Security Director James Clapper traveled to Pyongyang to obtain the men's release. North Korea got nothing in return. Bae and Miller arrived at a U.S. military base Saturday night.
Thank you for all your support and prayer and your love. That has really been encouraging for me and for others that who are in the same shoes.
Bae's family says the first order of business was dinner out.
And he said, well, I don't want Korean food. That's all I've been eating for the last 2 years. He's like, I want a burger or pizza. So we saw that Papa John's was open around the corner. So that was the first meal he had.
State Department officials say the Americans' release does not constitute an opening in relations with North Korea. Jerika Duncan, CBS News.
Right now, the State Department is advising Americans not to travel to North Korea for any reason. Iraqi leaders say an airstrike in West Iraq may have injured the leader of the Islamic State militant group. The leaders say the strike happened yesterday at a meeting of militants in Iraq's western Anbar province. They don't know the extent of the militant leader's injuries. No one at the Pentagon is confirming the report. The nurse who successfully fought an Ebola quarantine in Maine is planning to relocate. Casey Hickox is planning to leave Fort Kent after the 21-day incubation period. Her boyfriend, Ted Wilbur, says the couple will probably leave the state. He withdrew yesterday from the University of Maine, where he was a senior nursing student. The Pikeville Police Department is taking a stand against drug abuse. Police made 9 drug-related arrests in the last week as part of a drug roundup. Lieutenant Aaron Thompson says getting drug dealers off the streets helps improve safety within the community.
Long term, we hope that people get the message that this type of activity will not be tolerated, here in the city, and that the police department is focusing some effort to seeing that activity doesn't go on.
Police say the 9 people arrested were selling prescription drugs. And in Laurel County, deputies have made 2 more arrests in their November to Remember drug roundup. Deputies arrested 40-year-old Stacy Owen and 26-year-old Billy Mitchell, both from Corbin. More arrests are expected as the roundup continues. Crews at the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green will begin fixing the giant sinkhole tomorrow. The project is expected to cost around $3.2 million and take 8 months to complete. The sinkhole opened up inside the museum last February. It swallowed 8 Corvettes, 5 of which are considered beyond repair. GM unveiled the first restored Corvette this week in Vegas.